Thank you. Good morning. At least we have not a full session of the media, so it's going to be very easy. We'll finish very early. They are their way. Permit me to stand on all existing protocol, chairman of the occasion, as well as the SA to the president on strategic media, the team from the EFCC, and gentlemen of the press, print and electronic media. The anchor has introduced that I was here during the 11th session of this presidential media chat, and today's session is the 62nd. That means about 51 in between, have taken place. I'm here specifically to give us update regarding where we are in the fight against economic and financial crimes. Majority of things that I'm going to say are not things that are new. They are things that over time, since that time, we're able to talk to the press and talk to Nigerians about them. Even yesterday we mentioned one or two things that we have done. But by way of briefing, you are the one doing the next slide. By way of briefing, the EFCC, our vision as well as the core values of the Commission still remains professionalism, integrity, and courage, as well as collaboration based on our own coordination mandate that the EFCC has. There is no better way to give you an update, regarding what we do than to, take you through our own 5 strategic objectives that we have in our own strategic plan 2021 to 2025. And the first strategic objective in our plan that we believe that if we strictly follow it through, we'll be able to accomplish our mandate within the period under the plan, which is 2021 to 2025. Number one strategic objective that we have, as you may be aware, is to have an increased public engagement, improved system and processes, improved intelligence-driven investigation, prosecution, and asset recovery, and then, of course, law enforcement coordination and collaboration, and finally, of course, to have an enhanced institutional, human, and capacity development of the EFCC. As you all know, the most important resource that an organization should be proud of is its own human resource. Now, starting with improved system and processes, as well as enhanced institutional and human capacity development. I just want to state here before I proceed, when you are in a war, it is very, very important that you know who you are. You have to know your own tough so that you'll be able to target the enemy very well. So one of the mandates that I was given is to ensure that the EFCC is strengthened, to be an institution, to have less and less and less of the usage of discretion, so that even me as a chairman should be able to be guided and to be, my actions are supposed to be taken and, of course, guided by what we have in our own institution. So one of the things that, of course, we did when we came on board from that time to now is to restructure the EFCC itself, to have an internal policy development, as well as to have codification of all our standard operational procedures, as well as to have an automated and digitalized system. And since that time, of course, we have created a Department of Intelligence as part of the mandate that we said that we want to achieve an intelligence-driven, investigation. This department is doing wonders. Even yesterday, I received briefing from them in one of the matters that they are following up, fraud of about 50 or so, a billion naira. We are looking at through that intelligence. Upgrade of the procurement unit into a full-fledged department. As you know, this issue of procurement is a very serious issue, and we want to lead the pack. We want to ensure that all the procurement laws as well as policy documents, etc., are being implemented, 100% by the EFCC. We'll structure the Department of Operations as well as the legal department, and statistics that we are going to show you later will attest to that fact. We have upgraded the internal audit unit into a full-fledged department, because we need to have people that will audit our own activities internally. And then, of course, we have expanded the Department of Planning, Policy, and Statistics. We need statistics to be able to plan well, to be able to give you the figures which we are going to give you today. And finally, we upgraded the ICT department unit into a full-fledged department. This is very important, looking at our drive that we are working towards having a computerized or digitalized system to take care of all our operational activities. Now, we are all here on the 12th of May 2022, when His Excellency President Muhammad Buhari assented into law 3 key anti-corruption laws. Very, very important and very, very strategic. One of them is the Process of Crime Recovery and Management Act, the Anti-Terrorism Act, as well as the Money Laundering Prevention and Prohibition Act, all of 2022. Very, very important. These laws, Nigeria not only set the pace for itself in terms of improved anti-corruption drive, but we are also leading in this drive across the sub-region of West Africa as well as Africa, and even internationally. I doubt much if there are up to 10 countries that have a Proceeds of Crime Act the way that we have. One of the key, go back to that slide. One of the key things that the Proceeds of Crime Act have given is the powers of non-conviction based for future. Very important. And from that time to now, I can tell you that we have recovered close to about 50 houses in Abuja alone. We are not even pushing, driving in that regard, because of shortage of personnel that we have, and we want to do a very, very thorough job. And people are having the opportunity now of coming to say that, look, please, you can go ahead and take it. Of course, before the act, you remember very well that we used Section 17 of the Advanced Fee Fraud and Other Related Offences Act to enable us get this thing forfeited to the government. It's very important because some properties are abandoned. So what do? Or somebody died, or somebody has left the country. But this law enables us to deal with that. Now, not only that, also the Process of Crime Recovery and Management Act give us the opportunity to now have a sort of a harmonized environment in which all the relevant agencies now are now guided by what the Proceeds of Crime Act. I will come to that later. On the part of the Money Laundering Prevention Act, one of the highlights of the law is the legal framework that is now given to the Special Control Unit against money laundering. And this KUMO, which has been operating as an ad hoc administrative arrangement between the Ministry of Trade and Industry as well as the EFCC, is now fully codified, it's now in our laws, and it is fully domiciled in the EFCC. And that is the anti-corruption. When you look at the activities or what is expected of SCUMO, because in there we have 19 non-designated financial businesses and professions that are expected to be making currency transaction reports to SCUMO. SCUMO is now having a sort of a supervisory responsibility on them. Just take real estate for instance. With the law now, all real estate developers, all contractors, as well as agents, are expected to be making returns to school to know who is buying what and how are you buying it. The idea that somebody somewhere is looking at your own transaction is enough, to deter others, to prevent others from doing that. Go around Abuja, you are seeing properties left, right, center. A lot of people have argued that yes, the law or what we are doing will prevent people from buying. No, that's not true. Because if you have genuine income, you can always go and buy any property that you want at any time, and nobody is going to question you. If you take a loan, of course, you can also go and buy. So that is the way. You look at the car dealers. You remember a case that we reported here. We reported to the press some weeks ago, in which we have arraigned the suspects now. A group of 3 people hacked into Union Bank and move away what? 1.4 billion. The next thing that they did was that they bought cars valued at over 200 million. Nobody reported because you can buy and you can pay in cash. Some people can even collect what? A USD. We are not there yet. But I guarantee you that in the next couple of years, by the time we are fully functional with the activities of school, it's going to be very difficult, for people to be laundering their process of crime. I tend to describe this function or this scenario just the way that, to my mind, the drafters of criminal code, in 1916, come up with the punishment for receiving stolen goods. If you receive stolen goods and you are charged to court and convicted, it's 14 years imprisonment. But stealing itself, if charged and convicted, is just 7 years imprisonment. Why? Because without those that are receiving stolen goods, the thief will find it less attractive to steal. Now, without those avenues that people are having to launder their process of crime, you understand, public corruption as well as some other fraudulent activities of cybercrime as well as advanced fee fraud will be reduced also to the barest minimum. And that is very important here. And I want to state here that on the activities of school mode, every single kobo that we budgeted for, that we need for the take-off of school mode, has been provided by His Excellency President Muhammad Buhari. Just to tell you how important, he is taking the laws that he signed into laws in May, as well as to back it up. Because no matter how beautiful the laws are codified, if you don't have the finances, to be able to drive it, you will not be able to do that. So we are going to use that to we are already working on the development of software as well as provisions of other activities for the takeoff of this special control unit against money laundering, because the government and His Excellency the President have realized that, look, that is the way to go. We need to prevent, we need to deter people in their own corrupt activities by what? By blocking avenues in which they are using to launder their process of crime. Next slide, please. Now, of course, on internal policies, as we said, we are trying to build a fortress. We are trying to build an institution. 27 policy documents were developed, by the EFCC, including, workplace policy on sexual harassment and what? And bullying, as well as dress code policy. We want the EFCC officers to dress very well. We want to lead by example. And that, as the saying goes, you are addressed the way you are dressed. Look at this Oga, the way he's dressed, very well. When I grow, I will dress like you. Move on. We have also developed a standard operation procedure, 26 of them. Every department, every specialized unit is having a standard operation procedure that guides what we do. So that this idea that the chairman or the directors are all, powerful, that they can do and undo, will be no more, God willing. Just as I said during my Senate confirmation, that I'm looking forward to have an institution where I will ask an officer to do something, and he will look through to my eyes and tell me that, Chairman, I understood what you are saying, but I'm not going to do it because section this and this have said this. And that is where we are now. Let's move on. increase public engagement, very strategic for us to have Nigerians, understanding the ills of corruption, reporting corruption itself. Yesterday, as I said, through our intelligence department, we were able to get quite a lot. But Nigerians are also coming forward, to give us, information. But modestly here, you remember 2 weeks ago or thereabout, my brother, when was that? His Excellency, the Vice President, we went to Model Secondary School, Metama here, and we launched the Zero Tolerance as well as the Integrity Clubs manuals. Now, the whole idea is to have a sort of a unified constitution and to be able to engage the youth across the country, to know the ills of corruption, to imbibe the culture of integrity. Very, very important, as well as, detesting it from the early stages of their lives. Luckily for us, we are men of religious affiliation in this country. We are Muslims and Christians, and our institutions are helping us to be of high moral standard. We are working towards relaunching our anti-corruption teaching manuals for Muslims and also for what? For Christians. We need to have that engagement. Yesterday during a function, somebody says that yes, when it comes to the issue of religious engagement, people are sent there, but on the public side, they can do and undo. But that is not what it's supposed to be. If you're a religious person, you are expected that you should be guided by that, irrespective of what action you are taking, either in the public or at the religious institution. The school mall is also carrying out a lot of sensitization program, and we're very happy, as you know, that the administration of President Mahmoud Buhari is working towards three things: economy, security, and anti-corruption. So already the publicity is being carried out by all, top functionaries of government in terms of, engaging Nigerians, telling them the ills of corruption. Of course, we are social media engaged, and we have a lot of followers there, and we are doing a lot in terms of that public engagement and sensitization. The media too, you are helping us to do that. Almost every electronic and print media outlet is having a correspondence on anti-corruption, on crime, or on economic crimes, and on financial crimes. I think we shouldn't relent in doing that. We should be able to push and help and work together. Nigeria is the only country that we have, and we are the only ones that can salvage it. Move on. We have done quite a number of policy advisory to the government. This is part of, prevention drive. When we investigate a matter, we see gap, we advise the government, and this is what we see. And of course, in all our advisories, the government have taken dressing, because of that, and it has helped. These are some of the intangible things that we have been doing that people will not see as if it is arrest or going to court, etc. Nigerians are action people. We like action and action, but there are a lot of things that are going on behind the scene. Move on. Yes, move on. One of the things that we did was the launching of the Eagle Eye. The Eagle Eye is an app that we launched that will make it easier for Nigerians to reach out to us anonymously, and if they so wish, they can state who they are. Is also a platform where if you are a whistleblower, you can as well, use the platform and give your details. It can be used, the comfort of your room. You can download the app, install it, and then take pictures and send to us. A lot of Nigerians have done that, and we have used this platform to recover millions and millions of naira through, reportage of houses or assets that people have acquired. I was very happy, yesterday that the Federal Executive Council have approved the whistleblower bill, and I believe that before the end of the tenure of the 9th Assembly, we'll get it passed into law. And I want to use this opportunity to say that Nigerians, this is their own opportunity, to blow the whistle and also, engage based on the policy that we have. You can even have up to 5%, uh, of the proceeds. You remember the Ikoyi funds, the man that blew the whistle, took away a certain number of percentage of the $43 million that was recovered. Gentleman there with the black, you have to blow that whistle and ensure that you participate in that. So the impact of the Eagle Eye is real. It has given us improved intelligence gathering opportunity, global reach. It's easy to access, of course, increased public engagement, and it is also an added incentive to whistle blowing. Yes. Yeah. On the enhancement of operational capacity, this is an area where we just want to brush over because we don't want to tell people our capacity on our own operational capabilities. The people we are dealing with are high-tech people, are high-end people, intelligent people, etc. But it's important for you to know that we are working on with CCB, on asset declaration. We are conducting fraud risk assessment of MDAs to know red flags and gaps in their own processes and procedures. We are working, on budget implementation monitoring, procurement processes monitoring, as well as extensive public enlightenment and preventive efforts, which we have discussed already this morning. Yes, we have discussed about SCUMOL, this part of it. We are working towards development, as I said, of property ownership database as well as biometric identification system of the non-designated financial businesses and professions. Yes? Yeah. Now, going forward or moving forward to statistics of what we are able to do, particularly from January to now that we are, which is what is today's date? 15th of December. Now, in terms of monetary recoveries, for the year under review from January 1st to the 31st of October 2022, we have recovered 134 billion 336 thousand 700 and 337 million 759,574 naira 25 kobo. We have equally recovered 121 million US dollars, pound sterling, euros, Japanese yen, etc., etc. For the non-cash assets, these are some of the recoveries that we have made. 52 automobiles, and you can see electronics, motorcycles, clothing, real estate. These are, forfeited assets, not, cases that are under what, investigation. And these are figures that more or less, direct recoveries from January to October 2022. In November, it may interest you to know some of the things that we have done in terms of indirect recoveries. In November 2022, we recovered 354 million US dollars for NUPRC, in terms of royalty that one of the oil companies have not paid. But our investigation led to that recovery. For the recoveries that we are making for NDDC, for instance, between now and probably next week, we are going to transfer to them about 30 billion naira and about 30 million USD. These are recoveries that we have made from oil companies that have refused to pay the 3% statutory payment to NDDC. And we have also recovered billions of naira in terms of fraudulent contractual engagement that NDDC have done over the years. You remember the forensic audit? The EFCC was given the mandate to carry out criminal investigation in that regard. And I want to state here that the POCA, which is the Process of Crime Act, mandated that all relevant agencies must open what is called the confiscated properties and, is it asset and properties account? an account, in naira and in foreign currencies, and that all finally forfeited funds that belongs to the federal government should now go into that account. And before we have to pay the money into a designated federal government account, but with poker, this is why we take the federal government account, and we have to carry out an audit, from our EFCC recovery account, and we paid into that account 120 billion naira and 29 million US dollars, about 6.6 million euros, as well as about 1.1 million pounds into that. And the president have sanctioned that all those monies should be utilized for what? For the provision of critical infrastructure in this country. So the funds are going to be used for the completion of the Abuja-Kano Expressway, as well as the second Niger Bridge and the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, among other funds that the federal government is gathering. So that means that you are now seeing value for your own recoveries, and which is an unprecedented thing that has not happened in the history of this country, whereby funds that are recovered are now being channeled to critical infrastructure. But of course, this is not the first time that was done. You remember some of the funds that the government have recovered from overseas, were used towards the social investment program. Maybe you have even benefited. I don't know. Have you benefited? From some of those things. But I think our relatives have benefited. From that. Very important. And part of this, go back to that slide. Part of the monetary and asset recovery, we are all witnesses to the activities of the EFCC in the last couple of days, in which public auctioning of automobiles are taking place around the country. We published 649, and this is just the beginning. We are going to do that to ensure that all of those assets are now being disposed of. All of these are in line with the provisions of the Proceeds of Crime Act, as well as other relevant laws of public procurement. Very soon, before the end of the year, we are going to publish auctioning of real estate, across 15 locations. And from the list that was given to me now, which is still being, worked on, we are going to dispose over 160 flats, apartments, across these 15 locations in our country. We are going to make huge amount of money that the government is going to also, make use of in terms of provision of social amenities that this country is in their need of improvement on. Yes. On the issue of cybercrime, of course, we have done quite a number of operations across the country, which has led to several arrests and several investigations, several recoveries. Just Tuesday, the High Court in Benin convicted a fraudster. It was widely reported, and about 120 million was recovered from him, which is going to be restituted to the victims in the United States of America. And the court has ordered that already. So we are working hand in gloves. This is a very, very serious challenge for the country. The activities of cyber criminals is alarming. It is very dangerous for us, and but we are working with NCC, with other relevant stakeholders. I don't want to be, saying it on camera. One of some of the strategies that we are adopting towards dealing with that. But I am calling on all Nigerians to ensure that they are working with law enforcement agencies towards curtailing this problem. These are issues that we all know, that they are tarnishing our image, they are bringing in illicit funds, and victims out there are crying, losing their pension, losing their valuable, assets, as well as hard-earned resources. We have to continue to do what we have to do. It's our mandate. It's quite unfortunate that our youth are engaged into this, activity. We have to be the Nigerians that we are, law-abiding, people that are striving to make end meet, legitimately. That is who we are, and that is who we should be. But we will continue to do what we have to do. Somebody has to do the job, and we have to do it. That is our mandate, and God willing, we are going to succeed at the end of the day. Yes, move on. All these are part of the activities of cyber criminals that we have focused on, and which we want you to please help us to sensitize Nigerians about that. Yes. Now, on the issue of convictions, this is one area where the Commission have led the pack. You will not appreciate this until move on until you understand where we were before and where we are now. The first full year of this administration, the EFCC recorded only 195 convictions. That was 2016. In 2017, EFCC recorded 186. We went down. In 2018, we recorded 312 convictions. In 2019, we recorded 1,280 convictions. It went up over 312%. In 2020, we're all aware of what 2020 is going to be remembered for. COVID. We went down, even at that, to 976. Last year, part of which, of course, was under my administration, let me be immodest a bit, we recorded an unprecedented 2,220 convictions. Now, this year, even though the year has not come to an end, we have recorded 3,615 convictions. Unprecedented. The figures of this year alone, the convictions that were secured alone this year, is more than the number of convictions that this country, the EFCC has recorded from inception up to 2020. What happened? It's because the government is with us. It's because of the relationship that we have with who? With the judiciary. It's because of the government support. It's because of the effort. It's because of so many things that we have been doing and the government have been backing us to do as an institution. That is why you can see this success. And that is why this success is here. And you can see the distribution across all the commands that we have. And this is where we are as at now, and it is only going to get better. And I want Nigerians to appreciate and understand that looking at these figures alone is enough to convince anybody that this government and this administration has lived up to its expectation of fighting corruption in all ramifications in this country. Are we there yet? The answer is no. Is there improvement? Certainly, yes, there is improvement. Thank you. Of course, finally, on the issue of coordination and alliances, corruption is a borderless crime. We need to talk to one another within the country. You are aware that I'm the president of NASIWA anyway, which is the network of anti-corruption agencies in West Africa, and we are working. And they have during our extraordinary General Assembly meeting in Niger, earlier, I think was it in October, the is back. Okay. Who is following this Nasiwa statement of they elected unanimously that Nigeria should host the secretariat for Nasiwa, mostly because, of course, we are the host country of ECOWAS and all of it. So within the tenure, a lot of things we want to do in terms of that. Move on. We have partners all around the world that we are working on. The whole world have now, agreed to the fact that countries has to come. cannot do it alone. We have to engage with other countries, and we are doing that. They are sharing intelligence with us, formally and informally. We are also sharing with them, formally and informally. What we see is that public corruption, those that are getting that are taking their proceeds overseas. Those that are into cybercrime are bringing their proceeds, back to our country. So we have that common problem that we all want to solve, and of course we are working in that regard. Move on. This is the sewer that I was telling you about, and the rest. Move on. This is the compact that we have with Nigerians. You are going to be given the slides, so you'll be able to say it. But I want to emphasize that the new EFCC is harnessing the skills of a well-trained and motivated workforce, leveraging on the support of every stakeholder and partner both at home and abroad to deliver on the vision of a Nigeria free from all forms of economic and financial crimes. Thank you very much, and let me take your questions. Okay, I will sit for the questions. But I like standing. I'm a court person. If you are being cross-examined, it's better that you stand so that you'll be able